I had heard all kinds of stories from aspirants that you should give your center in a remote place where less number of aspirants appear for the exam because it has its own advantages and all that. But Delhi was home, so I decided that no, I will not move out of my support system and my comfort from home and try to live and give an important exam in a city which is totally unknown to me. Hi everyone, my name is Anuj Swarup. I am 2016 Indian Foreign Service Officer, and today I will be talking about my journey from an aspirant to an officer. I am basically from Delhi and I have done my schooling in Delhi. I am an electronics and communication engineer, and after passing out, after completing my engineering, I was working with NTPC, where I have worked in different profiles for almost 9 years. In between, I also finished my MBA from FMS Delhi. But over the years, since I was working with NTPC, the best part about working with NTPC was that you had this constant feeling of being able to contribute towards national development, because it was at a time when India was really wanting to have increasing the generation capacity, the power generation capacity, and that is when I got inspired to appear for the Civil Services exam, and by the grace of God and the support of my family, I was able to clear it, the CSC 2015 exam, and I was appointed as an IFS officer. So if I go back to my journey being a student, so I have studied in two cities. So one is Gurgaon, and then my family shifted to Delhi, and after completing my 12th class, 12th standard, I was appearing for various competitive exams, and the counseling for one of the exams was in Lucknow, and that is when I got an opportunity to meet an IPS officer, a very senior IPS officer, and that was my first interaction with an officer. And at that particular point of time, I had really no idea that one day I will be appearing for this exam, because I always used to feel that maybe I will go in corporate, and that is why I was preparing for MBA, and I did my MBA also. But that small interaction, always I had it in the back of my mind. The kind of aura, the kind of responsibilities, and the kind of work. We spoke briefly, and I could understand that yes, the kind of work that he was doing was really something at a different scale, and which was having the potential to impact lives of so many people in so many different ways positively. So that was one aspect which I still remember very clearly from my schooling days, from my engineering days, which was always there with me. And once I finished my MBA, I again rejoined NTPC Limited because of some personal reasons, and that was again a time when many of you would remember that there was a time when there was a complete grid failure in India, and I was there working with NTPC all throughout the night, along with my colleagues in different places, trying to restore the grid. And that feeling of or a sense of achievement in being able to do something really important for the nation, that is when I realized that yes, civil services is something for which I want to appear for, or try to be a civil servant. I will be very honest here, I really don't remember the first day what it was like, but I certainly remember one thing, that I went through the syllabus first of all, and at the same time I first appeared for the civil service exam in 2013, and that was a time when in prelims CSAT was also a scoring. So it was really beneficial for few people who had engineering background, because they could score heavily in CSAT, and with maybe average marks, they could in the other exam GS1, they could expect to clear the preliminary exam, the prelims. So first of all, I really went through the syllabus to understand and to decide on the optional subject that I will take. And during my journey from an aspirant to an officer, I remember a lot of changes were brought in the CSE exam. So, for example, earlier there were two optional subjects which one had to prepare, which was then changed to only one, and the number of GS papers was increased to 4. So I remember that it was always very dynamic. One had to always readjust your preparation strategy as per the exam. So I remember calling up my brother and telling him that because he was also preparing. So I remember telling him that I want your notes. I want to you come over. I want to talk to you more about it. What strategy you are following? And once I had a fair bit of idea about what this exam was, then I started working backwards. So as per the schedule of the exam, I started working backwards, that okay, this is when this mains exam will be, or this is when prelims will be. So I need to finish my syllabus by this time. I need to revise at least 3 times. All that kind of planning I started doing. And since I was working full time in NTPC Limited, I had to really plan well and execute it to the core, because after coming back from office I had limited time to study. So and also I realized when I gave my first prelims that it is important to keep on revising, because reading is one aspect of the preparation. The most important aspect is to recollect it correctly and exactly, especially in prelims exam on the day of the examination. I must admit that I was lucky enough to get support of my family and my colleagues, my seniors in NTPC, because of which I was able to study and prepare for the exam. Having said that, I must say that I used to do most of the studying in the night, after coming back from office. And the mantra that I used to follow was that one has to be consistent, come what may, one has to study. Even if it is only for 2 hours or 3 hours, one has to study, and always keep on moving forward and continue with your preparation. There might be days where one used to feel really tired, and one used to feel really not study. But even on those days, I remember still sitting on the table and doing something which was maybe much more interesting or much more engaging, so that at least I would have covered some portion of the syllabus, or I would have revised something, so that it would have overall helped me in my preparation. So first prelims, I recall very clearly that CSAT exam was there, and it was it's a mix of maths, logical reasoning, English, RC and all that, and I was pretty confident in that portion, so to say, CSAT. But while trying to solve the questions, I remember there was a time in examination hall when I was there was a very tricky kind of a question, and I was feeling that I know the answer, but in spite of all the guidance and training, I ended up wasting almost 5 minutes on that particular question. And that is when I really got nervous, and I took a pause. I recalled the guidance from seniors and from colleagues that in CSAT there are so many number of questions. You are not expected to spend a particular amount of time, more than a particular amount of time on a particular question, and if you are not getting it, you just move forward. You don't waste your time and on a particular question. So thankfully, even after 5 minutes, I tried to calm myself, and then I moved on to the next questions, and I was able to score well in CSAT, and I was able to clear that prelims. So yes, overall it was a good experience. Mains, I had heard all kinds of stories from aspirants that you should give your center in a remote place where less number of aspirants appear for the exam, because it has its own advantages and all that. But Delhi was home, so I decided that no, I will not move out of my support system and my comfort from home and try to live and give an important exam in a city which is totally unknown to me. So I opted for mains. But when I was writing, this was in 2013, so there was a new pattern in which there was only one optional The number of GS papers was 4, including ethics, and the number of questions was also more as compared to the previous pattern. So, and it's December, so you can imagine in early morning in December you going to a center, and initial 5-10 minutes you are struggling to write even properly. So that is very very clear in my memory, that it was itself a very big challenge. It used to be a challenge to and then after the exam is over, you are already tired, but then you are again expected to write the second exam on the same day, maybe after a break of 2 or 3 hours, and in between then you are trying to revise, or you are just trying to see your notes, whichever you feel important, and at the same time you will see some aspirants or some some students who are doing a lot of revision, and at times you feel, what all he is studying. So all kinds of thoughts go through your mind when you are writing the mains exam. But thankfully I must say that my parents and my father, my brother, all of them were there always with me, always ready to support me in whatever way they can. We used to have lunch together, and then I used to be ready for the next second exam, and then immediately after the exam we used to rush back to house, because usually in the new pattern there was hardly a day's gap between 2 days of exam. So yes, it was difficult, but somehow you manage in that heat of that moment, and it gives you a different energy that you have reached this far, you have cleared the prelims and you have reached this far. So you try and give your best, even better than what you would have expected to. For interview preparation, I used to come to Delhi at least a month or 6 weeks before my interview, so that I could give mock interviews, and they used to help me. The feedback, it used to be helpful. But I have given interview 3 times, and every time the result came, I could realize, or I noticed that while I was scoring decently in the mains exam, my interview marks were not up to the mark. So during my final attempt, what I did was that I realized that when you are in front of the mock interview board, even though they are giving some feedback, at times you are not able to absorb everything, what they are trying to convey to you. So during the 3rd time, what I did was that I sat with my brother and my brother-in-law, and then we went through the recordings of my mock interviews, and that is when I exactly realized that where I was going wrong. I could see clearly that, okay, this portion I was rambling, or for this particular question I was giving too many facts and figures which were maybe not required. And also I realized that you are not expected to know everything. This is something which aspirants need to understand, that you are not expected to know everything. DAF is certainly most important document on which you need to know everything which you are writing down. But at the same time, I am sorry sir, I don't know, or this particular thing is also an acceptable answer in my opinion. Maybe this helped, and in the last attempt I was able to score decent marks in my interview, and I was in the main list. Because I was already with NTPC Limited, I was already working with NTPC Limited, and I had already completed almost 9 years of service with NTPC. So this question always used to be asked from me, that why now, or why UPSC, or why civil services. And while I knew in my heart that why I am trying to write the UPSC exam now, but at times I was not able to do justice to that answer, and completely convince the interview board that why now, or maybe why civil services. Why civil services was still easier, but yes, why now was something tricky. Ultimately it worked out well. I remember that day very vividly. It was somewhere in May, and I was in office, after having finished, given my 100%, and I was very clear that this was my last attempt, and if I am able to make it, good, very good. If not, then I will focus on something else. in the sense that I will focus on my current job profile. So I was there working in the office, and I remember getting a call from my wife, telling me that the result is out and you have made it. So, and then because she also works with NTPC Limited, she was also working in the same office, so she could come over to my office and tell me personally that all the years of hard work that we had put in together towards this UPSC journey have paid off, and finally I had made it. I was thankful, thankful to the Almighty, to my parents, to my family, my wife, and by then I was also blessed with a baby boy. So yeah, he was quite young at that particular point of time. So I was, really happy, and I should say thankful the hard work that all of us have gone through or put up. When an aspirant is preparing, especially when he or she is living with the family, a lot of hard work is also done by the family. They support in ways which one can't even imagine. So all that really paid off. So I was thankful. I will still say that the opportunity to serve the country and the broad canvas, or the diverse opportunities that one gets in different services, in IFS, IAS, IPS, and all other services, it's truly amazing. And that is something which really makes up for all the hard work and the efforts, and all the sacrifices also. So that is one, and I think I would like to say that keep walking. Not the tagline of Johnny Walker, don't confuse. I just want to say that keep walking, and in the right direction. Every single step that you will take will take you closer to your aim.